All right, guys, today is step 7, which is to include the in-text citation. So these have been coming for a while, and I've been telling you to prepare for them by keeping track of each bit of information and the source that it came from. So the goal here, as you can quickly read, is that we basically say every bit of information, here's exactly where it came from. So if somebody needed to go fact check you, make sure that you are using authentic sources, which of course you will since you'll be using Gale. They could do so by checking each of your individual facts against your works cited and then following your works cited to the original source. So some quick points, and these are listed here in the mini research paper unit. You are going to be creating something that looks a lot like this right here. Just last name and page number, the author's last name and page number, inside parentheses, inside the period. And if there's not an author's last name, you're going to use a summarized version of the article title. Those are going to be easy to remember because they're the first word or words that appear in the citation itself. And then some other tips, if you use the title, you put it inside quotes like this. If you have two authors with the same last name or two identical titles, you might have to get a little creative. There's not a precise way of doing that. You could just use this. Like the first initials I did here, you could use the titles of the articles if they are separate, but you would need to find a way to differentiate those. And then here's a quick example with just a little bit more. You can see where here's a sentence, and then here in the background, or I'm sorry, at the end of the sentence is the actual citation. So what we're going to do is go to my paper, which I have written. Here it is. And I have kept track of which source I used by these little numbers. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace my little numbers with the actual citation. So to do that, I will need to see my sources, and my sources are here. So let's starting with source number 1. So here's my source. The first word, there is no author here. This is from Backpacker Magazine, it says. Here's the link I can use to get back to it. But the title is Big Bend National Park, Chisos Mountain South Rim Loop. That is way too much information to put inside each sentence that I use. So I'm just going to use the first few words, maybe the first 2 or 3. So I'll probably call this Big Bend. But I need to check and be sure. Okay, source 2, this is an author's last name, so that's what I'll use for him. And then my last one is Dwayne Raleigh. That's another last name. Okay, so I'm also supposed to put the page number. The nice thing about our citations being done for you is it tells you the page number it came from. One more reason that we use Gale Group Resources. See, you thought I was just torturing you. So what I'm going to put for every time I have a 3 in my paper is I'm going to put that last name and page 26. Why 26? Because it tells me right here that this article originally appeared on page 26. So I have last name, page number, and then the close of the parentheses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my source 3 here. I'm going to Control C it. I'm going to go over to my paper. And everywhere I have a 3, I'm going to highlight the 3 that I have. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to drop in my new citation. Uh-oh, it's not the same font. Not a big deal. We had to fix font later anyway. All right, so I'm going to keep scrolling. Let's see, I got a lot of 2s. I should have at least one more 3. Here's a 3. And so then I delete this, and I drop my 3 in there. I make sure that my formatting is correct. The period goes after the parentheses. So then I go back. Everything for source 2 would be, this is going to be almost the same exact way. It will be Vlahos, and let's see, page. It says page 20 plus. All right, so that means it started on page 20, but we don't have the original print, so we'll save 20 so that we're following the format, and that is the information that is given to us in our citation. So everywhere I have a 2, I will copy and paste this guy. So he comes over here. So here's a 2, talking about javelinas. It's a fun word to say. So there's that. I got to put my period back where it belongs. Here's another 2. Put my period back where it belongs. And so I go through and I do this for each 2. Now here's a tricky thing. If you are a perfectionist, which I know some of us are, when you have, see these 3 that are all in a row? I actually don't need to put the author's last name each time. So this is fine this way, the way it is. Or if you wanted to take the next step, you would delete the author's last name, and the only time you need to put the author's last name is when it changed again, which would be down here. So each one of these could just become a 20 in parentheses since they're all from page 20 by Blassos, or whatever his name was. And then now it switches over, so I can't put a 20 here, or this one actually be the next one. I have to put the full thing again to show which article I'm back on. MLA is fun, and that was sarcasm. All right, so there's that. So now I only have 1 left, and that, or I guess here's another 2. I'll put this this one up here. Okay, so now my one was the tricky one that had a magazine title rather than an author's last name. So I can't put an author's last name, so I'm just going to put the first two words of the title. So just Big Bend, it goes inside, what are those, quotation marks, and I'm looking for a page. It says page 124, so I put space 124, I close my parentheses, and now that is my in-text citation I'm going to use over here on my article. So everywhere that the 1 shows up, I just drop it in there. And make sure my periods go back in the right spot. Oh, there's a 2 I missed. I'll have to go grab that one in a little bit. But I should have at least one more 1, I thought, right? Maybe not. Maybe I just used one fact from that. I'll look through it again more closely. You need to make sure you look through yours closely. Like already I missed this 2 right here, and there's probably a 1 that's completely obvious that I'm just not seeing right now. But you go through and you drop them in, and now this is what your in-text citations would look like. So if somebody was like, where did you hear that the Chisos Mountains were nearly 8,000 feet? And they go, oh, Big Bend, all right. And then later, next step, when we make our works cited, you'll have that reference right there. They can say Big Bend, oh, that must be this article, and they can go back and check it out and have every bit of information that they need.